Welcome back to the Steam's Next Fest 2025 Hyper Empire demo. This time we read through the lore. On the previous video you could see like how the game actually plays. As a short wrap up again. Basically, Hyper Empire, it wants to be a distilled 4x space essence game to be playable in 40 minutes or less. I think overall, like, the gameplay mechanics are neat on the side of the economy. The thing is, the combat is a little bit too shallow. For example, if you're in the battle screen, you cannot really distinguish your units. It would have been nice to have like if your mouse hovers over the unit, that you actually get the name of the unit and maybe like its weapons or something like that, HP, or like at least some stats. That your capital ship is movable in the battle screen, in the sense of that you in your pre-deployment thing, because it's only static there. And yeah, you could also make it a little bit more deep, in the sense of that you can like have different strategies for the ships. For example, that they should target the ships with lowest HP or the one with the most armor, and so on and so forth. Because at the current state is a little bit more of battle blobs. But yeah, also the 40 minutes claim also lend itself to a roguelike game, in the sense of that you like from like run to run upgrade your colony, like for each faction. So you have like one colony for each faction, and then you can like, you play humans over and over again, you can like build up your human colony from round to round. So that would be nice, but I think also it would throw off the balance of the game a bit. So yeah, but it would be neat. It would fit itself to be more deep like that. Otherwise, with the streamlined decisions, otherwise I'm fine with it. Or with the other streamlining decisions, I'm fine. For example, there's the thing with that you have like pop-ups, and it says we should help them, and you have only the option of yes, we help them and we gain this. So yeah, like there's not really decisions, it's only a pop-up, and you can acknowledge it with like a little stir up. But now, regarding the story, now let's read through the lore. Human Federation. Dawn of humanity. History speaks of a dark and troubled time in the ancient past. Humans brought themselves to the brink of extinction. From this chaos emerged the technocrats, a mystical order that reveres technology. The inventions of the technocrats helped humanity to be born anew on Mars. Under the care and leadership of the technocrats, humanity has flourished. From their temples in the grand cities of Mars, the technocrats managed to conquer even the secrets of interstellar travel. The stars were now the new frontier, and humanity was eager to colonize their new homes. Worship of the technocrats and their secret enclave was absolute. A new golden age of man was born. Co-worlds. The early days of humanity's expansion was limited only by the ability to find suitable worlds to colonize. Few systems contained planetoids with the same quality as Mars, but those systems with such worlds became the footholds of future exploration. In total, 11 other Mars-like worlds were found uncolonized. Including Mars, humanity now ruled 12 planets throughout the stars. Each world became a sprawling civilization and centers for agriculture, manufacturing, and research. And on each world, the largest structural build was the world's temple to the technocrats, for it was only through their ingenuity of the technocrats that each planet was tamed. Eventually, humanity tried to colonize less suitable worlds or build massive space stations in more inhospitable systems. The fringe areas required constant resources and shipping from a planet to survive. Each of the 12 planets over time ended up supporting its own ecosystem of outlying colonies. As opposed to people from the 12 core planets, citizens born at the farthest edges of humanity's reach became known as Rangers. HFSF. As the sprawling Federation continued to grow, it became harder to unify the various populations and keep the peace. The technocrats foresaw a coming civil war and once again turned to their intellectual prowess. Massive shipyards were constructed over Mars and several other core worlds. From these shipyards, the first interstellar warships were built. The Human Federation Space Force was born. The finest ships ever constructed, the HFSF fleet is the pride of humanity. The ultimate military academy was founded on Mars, where officers are groomed in strategy, tactics, and loyalty. With the backing of the HFSF fleet, none of the core worlds or even the French colonies would dare to challenge the edicts of the High Temple. Designed by the technocrats themselves, each ship class in the HFSF represents the pinnacle of technological achievement. The HFSF weaponry and shields far outclass those used by any local militias from a core world. And through the constant vigilance of her loyal officers, humanity has continued to thrive in peace. Otherwise, they sound a little bit like the machine cult of Warhammer 40k, but like its own thing, but it seems a little bit inspired by it. Treasures of deep space. As mankind ventures out into the stars, two discoveries have forever changed the course of history. The first of these is the rare material known as hyderium. This metallic substance is incredibly strong, dense, and resilient, while also able to store massive amounts of energy. Its properties make it difficult to deal with in atmospheric conditions, but it is ideal for deep space construction. Hyderium quickly became the foundation for large-scale projects, including the hulls of space capital ships and space stations. The second discovery was referred to as proto-energy. This bizarre substance broke all conventional wisdom, as it was an energy source that was in a state of mass flux and was able to be converted into various types of mass. While there were many applications to such an extraordinary phenomenon, the main one was the ability for humanities for flung outposts to be able to create the materials they needed to survive without constant deliveries from the core worlds. Proto-energy collection became the foundation of survival on the edges of space. The frontier. Within the territory of the core worlds, hyderium was very rare, and proto-energy was non-existent. Civilization grew, there was an increased need for hyderium as the supply dwindled. Deep space probes and expeditions were sent to every corner of known space to try and locate more. A large concentration of hyderium was eventually located at the far reaches of drive technology. The frontier, the region of space rich in hyderium, had no suitable system or planets for colonization. A series of orbital colonies, outposts, mining, and refueling stations were built in this inhospitable environment. Before long, a steady stream of freighters hauling hyderium from the frontier to the core world's shipyards was established. The frontier was deadly and inhospitable without the comforts of civilized planets, but the frontier was also a place where one could make a fortune. At first, only a few corporations tried to establish mining operations in the frontier, mostly due to the cost of each expedition. However, when proto-energy was also discovered in the frontier, the fringe space expanded considerably. No longer limited by supply lines from the core world's outposts on the frontier rapidly expanded as proto-energy harvesting developed. An alien ally. Throughout history, mankind had searched the skies looking to see if he was alone in the universe. The search for sentient life had never produced any real fruit, despite the nagging beliefs of the masses to the contrary. Humanity ruled the known universe in isolation, unique and unchallenged. All of that changed on the frontier. A new sentient species was discovered, the Vor. The Vor were indigenous to deep space and did not venture to atmospheric environments. The creatures were massive in size, with an individual Vor organism easily as large as a human spaceship. The initial reaction to the Vor was mixed. The technocrats on Mars ordered the beasts killed or captured, with samples to be returned to the high temples for analysis. On the frontier, many colonists learned to communicate with the Vor and began to trade for proto-energy. A partnership between colonists and aliens in defiance of Mars gave birth to the Colonial Alliance. Okay, so this one is quite more unique. Like the proto thing seems to lean a little bit on like the proto molecule, but I think like the Vor and so on, like I think that dynamic is unknown to me. I think it's quite interesting to have it as like a mechanic. And also in game, I think there was like was it in Faith or Technology that you like the right side was like trading with the Vor or getting like stuff from them. It seemed like at least like the symbol looked like it. Pirate plans, shadows in space. Not everyone on the frontier lives in a state-of-the-art Federation colony or even a corporate mining station. There are others: smugglers, outriggers, mercenaries, and pirates. These fringers make a tidy living preying on the unwary. Always sticking to the dark areas of sensor range, these undesirables lead a dangerous life. The frontier is large and the HFSF fleet cannot be everywhere at once. Freighters and miners try to stick to the more heavily patrolled space lanes, but nowhere is truly safe. The threat of pirate attack keeps even irregular civilians moderately armed. Corporate forces will often employ their own gunship heavy fighter escorts for the larger shipments back to the core worlds. The black market. The HFSF is a powerful but expensive fleet to maintain, and the frontier still needs a stream of supplies from the core worlds. Due to this, all official colonies and chartered corporate outposts have to pay a heavy tax to the overlords on Mars. The cost of protecting is high, so most captains find it worthwhile in the fight with their life on the line. The Federation eyes cannot be everywhere at once. However, when no HFSF cruisers are in the system, there is a thriving demand for black market goods. Whether it is illegal weapons, food, or contraband, two things are always true: no fat taxes and no questions asked. Many believe that the goods come from pirate raids, although often it is smuggled and mercenaries that appear to be the chief customers. Whatever the truth, most colonies on the frontier will have an underground market. Federation forces run routine customs inspections, but this has done little to stem the tide of illicit deals. The Federation suspects that colony officials and corporate liaisons may even support the market. Still, as long as the steady shipments of Hydarium keep flowing back to the core worlds, the HFSF does not turn the screws too tightly. A rogue fleet. Recently, the pirate raids on the frontier have been more bold. Freighters along major shipping lanes have been hijacked and entire harvests of Hydarium lost. The pirates are also striking with larger and more advanced craft, counting several lighter cruisers among their fleet. Their ships are typically very fast with lots of firepower, not designed for a long drawn-out fight, but instead specializing in hit and runs. Federation admirals have debated the cause of the more sophisticated pirate attacks. A fleet that includes cruisers could not hide in the shadows forever. Such ship would need repairs and a place to berth. Pirates are unwelcoming and persecuted throughout known space. The building of a covert base so far out in space seems unlikely given the sheer cost of such an endeavor. The HFSF would dearly like to know what sympathetic colony is daring to aid this scourge. Minor engagements against armed civilians by raiding outriggers have revealed that the raiders are well equipped. Snatches of data scans from survivors suggest that a much larger force may be at work disrupting the Hydrium trade. But how can such a fleet hide without a home? Who is building these ships with outlaw technology? What really hides in the dark reaches of the frontier? Quite interesting. So the outriggers. Engineers and outlaws. As humanity grew in technological might, they continued to look further outward into the stars. The core world prospered, but scouts and deep scans into the unknown suggested even greater wealth lay at the edges of space. The High Temple on Mars organized a great fleet composed of many ships filled with technicians and supplies. Their task was to build a foothold where none existed at the very limit of humanity's reach. Work started slowly, but over time this convoy succeeded. At the first station came online, great fleet were gathered and the core worlds filled with raw supplies and talented recruits to reinforce the new foothold. The Hadron sector on the frontier became a symbol for all that was possible, and hope reigned supreme. It would not last. Disagreements with the hegemony on Mars grew over time. As the frontier prospered, the technocrats realized it was becoming increasingly difficult to exert their will over the free peoples. In the end, it led to the First Colonial War. The engineers once sent by the temple to tame the frontier found themselves at the odds of the priests who sent them. The frontier was ill-equipped for war. Federation ships destroyed the heart of the frontier in Hadron, turning it into a wasteland that became known as the junk fields. Most of the original colonists were scattered or killed, the few survivors branded as refugees and outlaws. Splinter of the faith. Abandoned and betrayed by the technocrat rulers and the core worlds, the few original colonists that remained struggled for survival. Often only living in their ships in the deep space for years, the refugees became known as outriggers. It was a time of great strife, and many turned to their faith in the machine god during their darkest hour. Resources were scarce, and the fractured community needed to rely on its shared traditions. Faith in the machine was strong, but faith in the authority of the temples of Mars was forever lost. The Outriggers ended up founding a new sect of the religion. It was understood that the machine was divine and provided for all, but this new creed focused directly on man's relationship with the machine. This new belief proclaimed that there should be no intermediaries between man and machine, and that priesthood that presided over the world of the machine were subject to human weakness, corruption, and failure. The belief instead needed to connect directly to the machine itself with no official clergy. One of the common representations of the faith among the Outriggers is in the number of cybernetic augments they implant to show their personal unity with the machine. A rising tide. The original colonists and crews that built the frontier were defeated in the First Colonial War. Since the defeat, they have largely been forgotten by Mars or integrated into new stations that were built and presided over the mining guilds. But the sons of the founders have not forgotten their roots. As war rages between the Federation and Alliance, opportunity has arisen. Outriggers sell worlds, and technicians work with both sides and have begun to rise in power and prosperity. New homes have been built away from prying eyes. The wounds suffered at the hands of the Temple of Mars have finally healed, but will never be forgotten. The Outriggers may yet still decide the fate of the frontier that they bleed to build. Then machine heresy. rulers of Mars. History speaks of a dark and troubled time in ancient past. Humans brought themselves to the brink of extinction. From this chaos emerged the technocrats, a mystical order that revered technology. The inventions of the technocrats helped humanity to be born anew on Mars. Under the care and leadership of the technocrats, humanity has flourished. From their temples in the grand cities of Mars, the technocrats managed to conquer even the secrets of interstellar travel. The stars were now the new frontier, and humanity was eager to colonize the new homes. Worship of the technocrats and their secret conclave was absolute. Of the order of the technocrats, one stood above all others. Dr. Xerxes Maximus was a talented engineer, a genius inventor, and he alone led the order of the technocrats. He ruled the largest and most prosperous empire the universe had ever known. The Mesenian heresy. The ruler of Xerxes was not fated to last. His worship of the machine god was absolute. In his communion with the machine, he at last saw a vision. Xerxes saw a future where man and machine were melded forever, and the machine could fully manifest into the world. Excited at this revelation, Xerxes gave a fervent speech to an assembly of all the technocrats about the change he intended to bring about to every living human. He labeled his vision in his plan the Mosaic prophecy. The speech was not well received. Many of the technocrats had secretly harbored resentment of Xerxes and his talent. His new vision seemed like the insane rantings of a madman to many on the council, and some even branded his plan as a genocide of all humanity. Arguments within the temple quickly turned into open conflict. Most of the technocrats turned against Xerxes. The HFSF Navy split in their alliance, with many following the orders given to them by Xerxes, others following the will of the council. A brief but bloody civil war ensued, but as the conflict emerged, it quickly became clear that the followers of Xerxes were outnumbered. Exile. Xerxes and his believers were ultimately defeated by the combined might of the Temple of Mars. Emerging victorious, the technocrats were unwilling to kill one of their own number. They elected instead to exile Dr. Xerxes to the farthest reaches of space. All memory of him and his insurrection was to be erased from history. Xerxes was joined in exile by his loyal followers still within the HFSF. Stripped of their titles and equipment, the shattered forces of the heresy stood as a stark example to any other would-be mutineers. This ragtag was limited to the edge of space and perhaps out of history. Left in isolation and forgotten, the heresy might have died out, but Xerxes was a master of cybernetics, and he used his prowess to extend the lives of his followers through technology. Decades, maybe centuries passed, Xerxes upgraded his rogue army into a new machine fighting force. Now the time for hiding is over, as the rebuilt fleet of the heresy prepare to once again return to the core worlds and retake the High Temple on Mars. Okay, that has been the lore of Hyper Empire Steam Next Fest 2025 demo. I think it leans on some elements of other franchises, but overall it's its own thing. It is quite interesting to have the like the theme of machine and human interaction woven through it, and kind of avoiding the AI topic. But overall, I think it's neat. And with that, if you want more long form content like that, subscribe to my main channel, subscribe to my secondary channel, Plum of Fun Raw, and if you want more short review type content, then subscribe to my main channel, Plum of Fun. And with that, Plum of Fun out.